That's right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you the first and foremost, the first thing to do always, Dimitri, when you're looking at this. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go through a lot of problems tonight, all right? And the first thing I want you guys to do, no matter what problem you're doing, the first thing I want you guys to do is always look to factor out your GCF. Now, if you guys remember back when you first learned about like factoring numbers and all that kind of stuff, you learned about your GCF, which is your greatest common factor. What that means is the number that they all share, right? Or that evenly divides into all your terms. So let's look at the first problem. Now, we're going to factor, but we're also going to solve this, meaning we're going to find the solutions. We're going to find the roots, or we're going to find the x-intercepts. However, I didn't give examples, but we're going to solve this equation as well, all right? Because now we know what to do for that, right? Zero product property, right, Hazel? Okay. So the first thing, let's look at, we only have two terms. Is there anything that these two terms share? An x, right? So what we're going to want to do is you want to factor out. Not all the times, right, do we have a quadratic and you factor out to a product of two binomials. Some of the times, you might just be given two terms and you want to take out what they share. So since they share an x, since you can now, what we're going to do is divide out an x. So you can divide both terms out by an x, or sometimes what we call reverse distributive property. You factor it out, and you're left with x minus 8 equals 0. And let's double check that to make sure I did that correctly. If I was to apply distributive property again, would I get my same answer? Dimitri, do you have this written down? Because it's really important that you have that written down. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 8 is negative 8x squared. So I factored it out correctly. All right? Now, the next thing is, remember what we last went over, which I told you guys to write down, the zero product property. Whenever you have the product of two factors equal to 0, you can set them both equal to 0, correct? Okay, so I can say x equals 0, or x minus 8 equals 0. So therefore, your solutions are x equals 0 and x equals 8. So those are the solutions. Now, what is going to be my x-intercepts? 0 and 8, right? Okay. So it's going to be the same thing. Do you guys see how I did that one? Okay. Well, you are factoring. You're just factoring out the common term. Yeah, you could do that cross thing, but you can obviously see this is easier. Now, the next thing is we are going to learn when we have a term that's greater than 1. But again, this is kind of the one I did in your homework, right? Do all three of my terms share something? 5. So we can just divide it out. So divide everything by 5, and we're just left with x squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. See, that 5 is redundant, so we can just factor it out. And now, can we factor that using our common terms? Yeah, this becomes x minus 2 times x minus 1 equals 0. Therefore, we can now say x minus 2 equals 0, and x minus 1 equals 0. Therefore, x equals 2 and x equals 1. Done.